Welcome back. I'm your host, Ron Davies, and today, in this episode, I'm going to find out which of you guys are podcasting and which of you aren't. If you're a marketer, you really need to be podcasting, and it's easy to do. It's not like it was 5 years ago, and it's very, very easy, and I'm going to tell you why you need to do this. Maybe you've considered starting a company podcast, but you haven't got around to doing it yet. Well, I'll give you a few reasons why this form of content might be just what your strategy needs. In this age, in the digital age, podcasts make marketing sense, right? Less people are reading and more people own mobile devices. This means you have to adapt your strategy, adapt your content strategy to cater to this. And when it's done right, it's very easily shareable. You can get the transcripts if you want to put them in your blog, and it helps you get your business's messages out. I mentioned adaptable content. So what's that? Well, a podcast can be listened to anywhere and at any time. For example, this podcast you're listening to right now is available on every smart TV anywhere in the world because it will automatically be going to iHeartRadio along with 23 other platforms. And the way I do it, I do one thing and about 60 things happen to promote this podcast. They're all free. So how many people consume content changes all the time. People watch less TV now. They're switching to online platforms like, Netflix and all of the over-the-top type programming. It's actually very easy even to create that for yourself. But people consume things differently, so it's getting harder and harder to reach your customers. But like most audio content, podcasts are quick, they're easy to consume. A typical podcast that I do is between 7 and 12 minutes. But what sets podcasts apart the most is that they don't require someone's undivided attention, right? So Chris Drucker, he said that the speed appeal of podcasts, the average blog post is about 700 words. It takes about 5 minutes to read. The average podcast is 35 minutes, which translates to about 4,500 words, the equivalent of about 6.5 blog posts. So what that means is that basically podcasts can slip easily into our daily lives, and this is quite appealing to most audiences. People need content that they can digest while they're doing other things, housework, office work, riding the bus, riding the train, driving to work. Time is a very precious commodity. And podcasts provide business with a way to effectively reach consumers while they're doing other things. So this means that your opportunity to reach your consumer or your customer is limitless. It doesn't matter if they're cooking, running, traveling, they can have their podcast with them. Entrepreneur.com confirms the idea. Entrepreneur.com said something like, your podcast doesn't take them away from the activities, it enriches them. People are on the treadmill at the gym, they're listening to podcasts, so forth. The other thing is you can sway a consumer's decision. So print advertising, or unlike print advertising, a podcast allows your business to develop personality and a literal voice, just like you hear my voice. If this was in print, you wouldn't really have a sense of me. This is a powerful tool when you're trying to influence your target consumer decision. So by creating a podcast, you confirm your brand identity and become seen as a valid source of information in whatever field you're in. Harvard Business Review kind of reiterated the idea by stating that podcasters can build a bond of trust through analysis, insight, and storytelling. So really all it means is that once you have this relationship of trust with your customers, it's a strong way to influence them during the decision-making process. USA Today said, hosting a podcasting show definitely helps establish you as an expert, a benevolent thought leader, and as such, a unique opportunity. The other cool thing is you create timeless content. Podcasts have a very long shelf life. So the final point could be seen both positively and maybe negatively. However, if good content is created, it's undeniably a positive point. You're creating a company advertising for free with no time limit. But it also means that old customers will return to your brand for information and new ones will seek you out. Forbes confirmed the idea. They said podcasts aren't a one-time creation. Once you've recorded them, they'll be available from your channel indefinitely, and in that way, they have a similar shelf life to evergreen content, so long as you're choosing topics with an intent to last. So this means you really need to plan each piece a little bit, be prepared to adjust your content with time, determine how it's received by your listeners. But as the number of people listening to podcasts is increasing, it makes more sense to tap into the market. It only takes a few minutes a day. Really, for me to do a podcast, all of the work, even a 10-minute podcast, is probably 15 minutes of work, because when I publish the podcast on Anchor.fm, it automatically gets distributed to a number of places. And then I'll go on Instagram and I'll say, be sure to check out today's podcast. It's on this subject. And when I submit that Instagram, it automatically goes to 23 different places. Facebook, it actually automatically converts my podcast into a video on YouTube and so forth. That's just automatically distributed. And I use ifttt.com for that. I actually have an earlier podcast on that. And podcasts make great economical sense. They don't require much investment, in many cases no investment. And once in your content plan, they allow you to reach a wider customer base, including very specific niche audiences, with the main resource required being just your time to ensure that the content you produce is worth listening to, and it goes on for years to come. So all big businesses have been podcasting for a long time. And nowadays, smaller businesses, because it's getting easier, the technology is making it less expensive to do, they're tapping into it as well to reach greater audiences, increase profits, so forth. If you haven't already started podcasting, you might want to start. It's pretty cheap. I would recommend Anchor.fm. It's spelled just like it sounds. Super cheap, really good. They have a great app that goes into your mobile device, whether it's a tablet or a smartphone. They also have a desktop version. It allows you to add roll-ins and roll-outs and all that kind of stuff. And also Spreaker. Spreaker is spelled like speaker, but with an R, Spreaker. They're pretty good too. My issue with Spreaker has been that their support is terrible. They don't have telephone support. Their email support can take 3 or 4 days before they respond. They have no live chat support. So even though they have a great platform, their customer support is literally in the dark ages, and that's why most of my work is actually done on Anchor.fm. So that's it for today. I'm your host, Ron Davies, for Badass Business on the Roncast. Have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you next time.